name is Akila. I'm in level 2.
Have you competed yet?
Yes. It was on Sunday and it went really good. Everyone got a 9 or an 8. Coach Chellsie told me that I was really good.
Tell me what you know about Chellsie.
She has her name a lot in this gym.
Do you know why she has her pictures on the gym walls?
No. My name is Michaela and I'm level 2. To have Chellsie as my coach, it feels awesome.
Why?
Because she went to the Olympics.
And what are your goals for gymnastics? What do you hope to do one day?
Get better and go to the Olympics just like Chellsie.
Do you know what it will take to get to the Olympics like Chellsie?
Hard work.
Anything else?
No. I would like to be in the Olympics.
Do you know any Olympians?
Chellsie.
So you do know Chellsie went to the Olympics. What do you know about it?
That I forgot.
It's not bad driving in the winter. You kind of get used to it. Driving in the snow is no problem. You just have to be smart. It's a little bit different living in the country. Everything's a little bit farther away. It's so nice and peaceful, and we like it a lot. We like to go outside and snowmobile or go ice fishing, and the lake in the area lets you do that really easily. And then in the summer, I love to walk outside or bike outside and be out on the lake with my family. So this is my gym, M&M Gymnastics, my second home.
Her first day in a gym, I don't know, it was probably 2 days after she was born because I didn't take any time off.
Both my parents were gymnasts and worked and owned a club, so just there all the time because they were. A lot of my earliest memories are just running around in the gym and playing and having fun and moving from class to class when they were doing something that I liked, and then when they stopped I moved to a different one. And
Chellsie was always very smart and very talented. Naturally, we could see it right away.
Chellsie picked up gymnastics fairly easy just by watching the other kids, and she had a mind that when someone would do something, she would always go like, well, why don't they try this? It'll be easier. It's like, because they don't know that. She had that gift that she could figure out how to make things better and easier just on her own. She was tumbling on the tumble track at 3 years old. Not many kids, I haven't seen anyone do that.
Chellsie actually started competing when she was 4 or 5 and, did, the compulsory levels, and, she was very good, but it was still just fun.
one of the earliest competition memories too, because I've been told this and can kind of remember, is doing a floor routine. And when it got to my tumbling pass, I just sprinted across the floor and just completely forgot to tumble, and it was just hilarious to my parents.
She really just showed that she really, truly enjoyed it and wanted more. She did. It's great if you can see talent. It's still gonna come from the person who wants to do more.
When I realized, that I had to be a little bit more serious, it was probably when I was 7 when my parents started talking to me about moving to a different club.
That was, a very hard decision, a very well-researched decision. We hadn't really talked to Chellsie about it.
I was sad, I was scared, and I was kind of mad that they wanted me to leave the gym, where my family was, where my sister was at the time, and, it was just like, you're sending me away.
We were trying to scout out the coaches and look for a coach. We decided to first give the local coach, Jim Schutte, an opportunity. He was from Salto Gymnastics, which was, 8 miles from our club.
Our gym became playtime, and all her friends were at our gym. So when it was time to train, and Chelsea's friends were playing, it's like, wait a minute, why do they get to play and I don't get to go and play with them? And she would go there and just train, and then half the time she'd stop on the way home, and then she'd get the play time. And so she got both.
It took me a while to, kind of get acclimated in the whole new setting and surroundings that I was in. But the two elites, Kristen and Jenny, again, they were super nice, super supportive, and welcoming to little Peanut into their group. When they got to go on an assignment, the gym would buy a flag from the country that they were at and hang it up, and that was really cool. So it's like, oh, I want to get one of those. I want something of mine. It started as a tradition when I was at Salta, and we kind of carried it over because it's a big deal when you go to a different country and represent USA, so we wanted to bring a piece of that country back. Come on, you can do it. Pull, you can do it. Pull. Try one, all the way up. 2003 was my first year going senior. I was allowed to go senior because the year before the Olympics, you can be 15 and compete at a world championship, so it's a little different than every other year. I thought if I really am serious and want to make the Olympic team, making the world team is a step towards that. I had not a terrible ankle injury, but just like an ankle injury a couple weeks before US championships, and so that kind of put a slowdown on my training. I don't like to blame things on injury all the time, but that's kind of what happened. If you're injured, you can't do the numbers that you want to do, and it'll show up in the competition, and it did for me there. Probably even after the first day at Nationals where I didn't have my best showing, I was like, ooh, this may not happen this year. You may not make this world team, and I didn't. And it hit me pretty hard, but then I was like, okay, you still made the Pan American team, and can go home now that your ankle is feeling better. Train just as hard as you would as it is for Worlds, and treat this Pan Am Games like it is your Worlds. I was able to win all around. We won, the team gold and also an event, and it taught me to believe in myself and to have confidence in my ability. It taught me that I am a good competitor, and I love competing as a team and not just individually. It was not in my mind at all that I would get a call to that they needed me to be an alternate for the world team. I was like, okay, I'm not going home. They're like, no. When I first got to the ranch, it wasn't, the state of everything was pretty good at the time, because there had only been one injury to the alternate at that point. Ashley Pastel had been sick, and we just thought originally it was just a little stomach bug. She was gonna get over it right away, and she wasn't, and that is when I was put onto the team. Yeah, marching in at Worlds in Anaheim, it was amazing. The qualification was a great meet for me. Well, we qualified as a team, obviously, and then I qualified to bars, beam, and all-around finals. Pretty amazing, actually.
And you didn't only qualify at all-around finals, but there's a little tidbit you left out, that you were the first. You were on top.
I was a top qualifier, yeah. Yeah, I qualified at the top. The realization to me too that you can belong here. You just had a great competition and qualified in one of the top spots, 2 all-around finals at a world championship. So it was a big deal, and it was a really cool thing to hear that. So I was really wanting to do well in event finals, and bars came first, and I was like, I just want to nail my routine and not really worry about the outcome, the score. Well, I did, and it worked out, but watching Holly go, cheering for her, so excited that we both had a chance to win a medal, waiting for her score, seeing her score go up, and then we're like, wait, we have the same score. And then we're like, oh, we tied. Like, that's a really neat thing, to be able to share a gold medal with your teammate. There was so many things that happened to our team in 2003, starting with Sam Sheehan, the first alternate, going down, and then when we get there, that Ashley Pastel gets, very severely sick. And then during a training, watching Anya vault and tear her ACL, it was horrible. It's one of the worst things that you can watch a friend and teammate go down with an injury. And it was when she landed, it was like she fell in slow motion. Everything just kind of stopped. And it was just like, and then again to watch Courtney Kupets tear her Achilles tumbling on floor, it was the same thing. It was just like, oh my gosh, it was horrible. Why did we have to go through all of that? Like, it was just insane. And then, to be able to do what we did after that and do it for the girls that weren't able to do it themselves, I think says a lot about all of us as individuals, and then says a lot about us as a team and as a country, that we were able to pull together and do that. We finished before China, so we were completely done. They were our big competition, and yes, when the last Chinese gymnast finished, they do the calculation. It seems to take like forever at the time, because it's just like, what's going to happen? Even though I had an idea, but nothing is ever official until you see it in the black and white. So, and we see USA still on the top, and just all celebrated. It was amazing, to win a World Championships as a team for the first time ever in our country with not even a full team. So we did something special. This is a gold medal for team. I was just looking, it is team competition. First is inscribed on it. Just double checking that this wasn't the bar one. This is one of the ones from Pan Am's in Santo Domingo. Get all of you, jump! This one, the little brown one, is Lucy. She's almost 4. And then this is Lexi. She's my first dog that I got, and she's 5. So training is, going really well. After Worlds, take some downtime, obviously. I needed a rest mentally and physically, but and it wasn't until after 2003 where I really set the goal of making an Olympic team. I think, I know my chances were great for making the team in 2004. Maybe people said I was a lock. I didn't for 1 second believe it, because I had seen all the things that can happen so quickly. Was at a training camp in April and wanting to make the Pacific Alliance team, and just was on beam training, doing my front half on beam, and just came down a little bit funny, and instantly felt pain in my foot, and obviously I fell, got down, just jumped down, walked over to my coach. I'm like, yeah, something's not right. So I got the phone call from my mom that says there's a fracture in my foot. I'm like, And it was around April 19th, and the Olympics were later that year. I'm like, oh, okay, so not making the Pan Am team, or the Pacific Alliance team, that's kind of small potatoes now. Now I could probably not make the Olympic team because of this. Yeah, I remember at the 6 weeks when we took the cast off, I lifted my leg up and just saw the difference. It was like a little chicken leg, and then there was like a nice big calf muscle on my right leg. They can see me in training working my harder skills that just aren't quite ready to be in the routine, but I have time. Like, we have the rest of this selection camp. We have all the time that we're in Athens, and I will get there. I'm just not there right now. And I was hoping that would be in consideration.
And at this time, I would like to announce the 2004 Olympic team.
That was not a fun way of announcing the team, the way they did it in 2004. They have the cameras rolling, the selection committee walks out. It was just like, I almost think it was cruel how they did that, doing it on live TV
I really think that was in very, very bad taste. You know, because I got to watch it on TV and you watched the devastation.
You know, maybe it makes for good TV with all the different emotions, but that was just really hard for me personally to handle.
Not very nice. You know, I know there's always winners, losers, or whatever, but there's a better way to handle that.
You know, and then going through the names, and your name isn't on the list of the team.
And we named 3 replacement athletes. And we hope we don't need to replace any of the athletes, but we know it can happen. We wish we would not, but we have to have extremely strong athletes who will be able to stay in a preparation. Chellsie Memmel, 2003, gold medalist on even bars. Congratulations.
Not making the team made her then really decide if she likes the sport, if she wanted to continue. I guess you can always say what if. You can say what if to almost anything in life, but you just, it's made her the person she is today.
Not making the team in 2004, it was a crush to her ego, to her, you know, self, but it never crushed her enough to not continue training.
How do you know when you have a fish?
The flag goes up. Pulls it and goes like that.
I came home from Athens, and going through all of that, that's kind of when JC and I were a little bit on different pages with training, where I was more wanting to, like I said, have fun, learn new things, and he was like, you know, it's okay, we didn't make the team, but there's a lot of, you know, there's a couple other meets that we can train for, and I just wasn't there. I wasn't wanting to do routines and compete again. I just wasn't ready mentally. And that's when I started talking to my parents about maybe exploring different options.
Yeah, I think her coach was more crushed than she was that she didn't make the Olympic team. And that was a really hard part of her life. And that's when she came to me and said, I want to switch to a different gym. So then my wife and I, we were like, okay, so where are we sending you now?
I was like, well, Dad, I was kind of hoping you would give it a shot.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Why would I want to train you? It's easier to not train you. And she said, well, she suggests, why don't we try it? We try it for a week. If that works good, we'll go to another week. So our whole career, we were on a week by week.
We kind of talked right away and flat out said, you know, gym is gym and home is home. And we, you know, to set that boundary right away, I think really helped. And, you know, he wasn't allowed to talk to me about gym at home. And if he wanted to, he would have to ask my permission. And sometimes I say, yes, let's figure it out for tomorrow. And sometimes I'll say, no, I don't want to talk to you about that. We'll talk about it tomorrow at the gym. And that's just, and he respected that. And I the same with him. It was just, that line was drawn right away. And I think that kept out a lot of friction that there could have been.
And it turned out really well, and I started taking her to training camps then. And then in '04, she went to the World Cup finals.
My dad and I we were talking about Worlds when it was one of our like half days for break, and we actually were talking about cars.
You go, oh, Dad, look at that car over there. I'm like, oh, Dad, look at that car, it's so cute.
And he asked, you know, what my favorite car was, and I was like, oh, you know, an Audi TT, and he goes, all right, you win Worlds, and I'll buy you that car.
She stopped, she put her hand out, she shook my hand, and she goes, you are on.
And then he goes, oh no, I'm in trouble.
So I'm like, I'm pretty screwed, aren't I? And she said, yep, because that's my goal, is to win Worlds next year.
So it was kind of during that meet and at that time where I was totally turned my focus 100% on training for Worlds. Everything was focused on that year. Even even months ahead of time, you just want to have the best trainings every day. Started off, the year pretty well, and then did tweak my shoulder at the Pacific Alliance in April of that year. I'm trying to remember if Nasty and I tied for all around.
And whatever happened before that, we always knew that Worlds was our ultimate goal.
So just focusing completely on training for Worlds with the goal of trying to win Worlds is trying to make the best out of each practice. Even if it's a hard day, you try to turn it around, and conditioning, and then even on your off days, taking care of your body and eating right and getting enough sleep so you have a good training the next day. So yeah, waking up for, going into competition for all-around finals, an ankle issue at that time. I had bone spurs in my ankle, so training was a little bit modified.
And like Chellsie, from this last 3 months, your first Yurchenko double has been your best one. So let's go with that in mind, that you only do the one.
And he's like, so let's not warm it up. Let's just throw it in the meet. I'm like, okay. Went out, did my vault, made it no problem, and it was a good way to start the meet. Chucking your vault in a world all-around final. Did a great bar routine, same with beam, going back and forth with Nastya. Yeah, it all came down to floor, and my dad said to me, nothing that has to do with the routine, just have fun, I'll see you at the finish line. And got up, did one of the best routines I've ever done. And got down, gave my dad a big hug.
Getting a big hug at the end was probably the best part of her career with me.
Watched Nastya go up, and then waited to see if it was enough. The standings didn't change. It was just like, oh my gosh, like it was enough, and I did it. And all the work I put in this whole year just paid off.
Starting in 04 and then win the whole Worlds in 05 was something that we set out to do, and then I'm like, okay, we succeeded as coach, dad, and training partner. That was proof to us that we could work as a team and work well together.
We had talked about the car off and on then, that whole year, and I had a couple pictures of it around the house just as motivation. I did visualize, that I would be able to win, and it was 100 times better in reality than standing on top of the podium. It just said to me, like, it is possible to set a goal high and be able to achieve it. And that's what it taught me, that I don't be afraid to set your goals and set the bar high, because it is possible to achieve them if you put the work in. And that's kind of what it taught me. So making the Olympic team, that was kind of a reassurance, like, okay, I did this, now that will be possible. The tattoo on my foot is from 2005 Worlds. It was like the symbol of their world, so it's on the medals, it's on all the posters, and it was just, I wanted something to kind of commemorate that competition, and went through a few ideas, but that was the one I settled on. It just simple, and it means a lot.